The first question is, what are Dan's three favorite books? I know this is like we're going on a totally different
Word.
direction.
Give me a second. No, this is very important.
Thank you, Dan.
Very important. And so here's that. I'm gonna get all of them. In fact, it's gonna be more than three.
Thank you so much.
Whole entire bookshelf. And if you're in any hurry, you let me know and I'll try to be as quick as I can because I respect your time, but I have time.
Oh no. I'm with Dan. I'm with Dan
energy.
McDonald. I'm good.
Okay, so Herbert Shelton, The Science and Fine Art of Fasting, an amazing expose on the linear and scientific aspects of fasting. The Essene Gospel of Peace, book 1 through 4. Here's the original that I read. $1 pamphlet. I was on the street, homeless, drunk, stoned, walked into a bookstore. The guy said, "You want the real truth?" I bought this book. I brought it home and it absolutely transformed my life. This is probably number 1. I just read it again the other day and it took me 3 hours. I'm going to be doing a study course on this on my Elite Video Club. It's going to be a 6-week study course of the Essene Gospel of Peace. Everything in this book has absolutely proven itself to be true, and I have yet to reach the final and complete finalization of this, of what's in this book, of what we're supposed to do and become, and what is possible. This is the Essene Gospel of Peace, all 4 books. I'm aware of the controversies, and they mean absolutely nothing to me. When people say it's not biblical or whatever, it's like because it got taken out of the Bible and it should have been left in there. But then people would have done this and they would have woke up and then they would have realized that the word of God is written on your heart. And you don't need books and you don't need a preacher. And the greatest guru is inside your own heart. And the greatest gurus guide you back to your own heart. They hold space, but it's a silent emanation. Anyways, more Essene books. Anything you can read from the Essenes. This is a great book, Arnold Ehret, The Cause and Cure.
Yeah.
Right? Old school.
That's an old school one. Oh yeah.
The common root cause of all disease, aging, and death. I wish he would have wrote more. But
well, he couldn't because you know what happened.
Ixnay, yeah, but you know what's cool is that Tavis's dad, Tavis, my best friend, his dad was actually pen pal with Teresa Mitchell. So Tavis learned from his dad all kinds of stuff about Arnold Ehret that isn't in any of the books. And
who's Teresa Mitchell?
That was his number 1 disciple.
Oh.
And Fred Hirsch. Anyways.
Right.
But Teresa Mitchell just did it and went on the path and just did it her whole life and was writing. And she's actually in Rational Fasting. By Arnold Ehret, Ehret. This is a great book. This is very inspiring. So the hygienists are more in the mental and the 400s of consciousness. Arnold Ehret was more in the love, unconditional love. And I really believe he actually transcended to even a phase of enlightenment. In other words, illumination phase. I truly believe he entered the illumination phase before they killed him, because that was back then. Rockefeller medicine had just started. They were 10 years in on that move with the Carnegie Rockefeller merging of the petroleum-based medicine, and Arnold Ehret was cruising around the US talking about how to heal without any of those drugs. And they've been doing the same thing ever since. Now there's too many of us for them to take us all out. This book will change your life. Thought Power, Swami Sivananda. This guy was a genius. One of my greatest influences is Arnold Ehret and Swami Sivananda for spiritual purposes. I call him the no BS yogi. Swami Sivananda, Sivananda. Thought Power. And then Gabriel Cousins, I think you had him on your show.
I did, yes.
Yeah, this is the book that I brought with me on the wilderness fast, and I'm glad that I did because it galactivated me. And I've been on fire ever since to get this thing dialed in once and for all. So Spiritual Nutrition, Gabriel Cousins, classic. I read that and many years ago at the hot springs where I went to go do the fast. So I thought it was crazy. And this was the only book I had, and I was really glad because it was appropriate. Arnold Ehret. This is my whole library that I've got only here. These are the ones that I like carry with me. I've got tons of books in storage. And then this is the one that changed my game when it comes to the fast or the meditation. This book will teach you how to meditate. And what I love about Swami Sivananda is he makes it very simple and very practicable. You know a good teacher when he cares enough to try to simplify it.
Like Ehret does.
Simplify.
Yeah.
And even though they're geniuses in their own way, too many of the egos try to impress you with their erudite, sophisticated, and all their big words. I guess I just did that, didn't I? But it's you want people to get it. That's why I do these long ass videos and say the same stuff over and over again. Because to me, I'm like, okay, I'm a robot. I'm like saying the same thing over and over again. But then I talk to my friends, my clients, and they're still struggling with the same old stuff, same old questions, same old thing. Like, should I drink juice? Is there too much sugar? Should I take the cleanse before I take the enzymes? I'm just like, I answer the same things over and over again. Now that's just one small part. I got the big tech breathing down my neck. I mean, I'm shadow banned. I'm over here. I'm like public enemy number one. My social credit score is like minus 7,000, Trumper, click, raw foodist, click, anti-pharmaceutical, click, anti-jibby jabber, click. I'm the guy that's like, no, you can heal yourself for 2.5 cents a day. And then you got all these, it's like the most powerful regenerative tool you have is available for 2.5 cents a day. You buy a water distiller. And the only reason I say that it's 2.5 cents a day is because you have to buy the water distiller. And then you get probably 400 or 500 gallons out of it before it blows up. I think I've gone through 2 of them and I'm on my 3rd one. And so that's what that ends up being 2.5 cents a gallon. And that's how much it costs you to heal yourself. But that being said, there is a preparatory phase. And I don't even have time to go into it now because it is a thing. It's taken me my whole life. It's taken me 23 years to understand it. And I'm sure I could probably devise a pre-fasting protocol, but obviously it has a lot to do with living foods. And I'm not talking about the gourmet. I'm talking about the water-rich foods. And if I leave anything with anyone today, it's the water. It's the H3O. I don't even like the distilled water, but I don't even like any water, except when I'm out in the desert, dry fasting, and it's been like 3 days. Then I'm like, okay, the best water I can find in the Sedona glass, or my favorite is the Castle Rock. I will drink that and be satisfied. But other than that, I'm trying to get hydrated from cucumbers, celery, watermelon, pineapples, and my number one thing is coconuts. Coconut is prime food of all. It's the food of the angels, the food of the gods. It's the purest thing.
The closest to the sun. Yes.
Coconuts are my favorite thing. I climb coconut trees and I live off coconuts, coconut almond yogurt, and those are the real hydrating foods. And that's why with the living water and the fruits and vegetables, and I like the juices. I can understand people think it's not natural, but that being said, our body is a juicing machine and society is insane. So I'm still trying to use juicing, green juicing, even fruit juicing, but a balance of the fruits and the herbs to saturate after a lifetime of Dick's burgers and gigantic lines of meth, you know what I'm saying? And packs and packs of cigarettes, punk drummer, rock drummer. Then of course I was a reggae drummer and had to have gigantic joints that I smoked. So I'm like, I'll never be right. Okay, but I'm not going to say that. I won't say that. It's not a good thing to say, but I am this, like, you do a lot of damage, but that's the same thing with the birth control, the amphetamines, the Ritalin, the Adderall. It takes a minute because it's the synthetics. The liver never developed the enzymes to get rid of all that crap. And so it sits there until you get into an extremely high state of enzymatic activity and or prana and or life force through the living foods and all the elements. You're using the elements as medicine. And then, but the fasting at the end of the day, the liver enzymes go through the roof and they start creating new enzymatic pathways they're using a combination of the mycelium, the microorganisms, and the liver enzymes that are there from antiquity to create new potentials that are enzymes that can start breaking down some of these synthetics that are not biologically recognized. In other words, it's easier to detoxify the residue left from cheese than it is to detoxify the residue left over from synthetic chemicals that get injected, that there's a 100% absorption rate. And many of those chemicals, because of the fact that they are heat and or solvent extracted chemicals, are isolates that the body doesn't recognize. And that's why we're getting fatter and fatter and chubbier and slubbier and blobbier. And then someone like me is like, you're dying of skinniness. It's like, actually, I'm a perfect human being, if you really want to know the truth. A thin one, that's the way God made me, but where's the chubby flubber? Where's all this hanging, saggy, white, pale, chubby flubber, blubber, cellulite? It's not there because I don't eat that stuff. So we get all those toxins built up, and now we got to get to a very high level if we want to get our reproductive organs back to fully functioning, which I have done myself. Now I'm working on the brain and the heart, and those two are intimately connected because I kind of mastered the gut, and I've got an amazing gut with the Purification and the raw foods and the juicing and the fasting. My gut is a machine. I could eat a 2x4 and poop it out the next day, So I don't have any problems with that because that was where I focused and became a master. Now I got to work on getting these two aligned properly. So God bless everyone. Can you dig it? I'll stop.
Just a few more questions. We don't want you to stop, Dan, but I want everyone to make sure they got, because this is going to be a two-parter. In the last part, Dan said the mind is stimulated by the unresolved issues of the heart. And I wanted to make sure everybody caught that. If you didn't see the last episode, go check out the last episode. It's a two-parter with Dan McDonald. Okay. So now, yeah, yeah, it's going to be part two. Yeah. But, okay. So, you said I could ask you anything. So thank you for that, Dan. Somebody in my private community wanted to know, I want to know if he consumes any raw animal products. Why did they think you do that? Did you in the past?
No. Oh, yeah, I did. I actually had goats. I had goats at the very beginning, and I became a goat farmer. And I drank goat's milk for the first couple of years, but then it started to kind of clog me up. And I also felt bad because they just became my friends, and
Yeah.
I just stopped. And then, now they're all gone. They all passed away, but my dad took care of them on the farm for the last several years of their lives.
And somebody else, thank you, Dan. And somebody else wants to know, what are your thoughts on supplements like chlorella tablets? Some other raw vegans recommend it when first starting out, and I really want to know what Dan thinks.
Well, I just ate a big old pile of chlorella a couple days ago. I took the pineapple and dipped it in the chlorella. So I'm a huge fan of chlorella, spirulina, especially the blue-green algae. The unfortunate thing is the sourcing on that now. I don't trust it.
The E3 Live?
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't, it doesn't resonate with me anymore. And that was one of the greatest things that blessed my life was the phenylethylamine. in the blue-green algae. My ex-wife had it on her counter. And she said, I'm going to start taking that one of these days. And I said, well, I'm going to start taking it right now. So I cracked open these bottles and sucked down some algae. And we just took all those bottles, and I just noticed a huge difference in my brain. It's very anti-inflammatory. And that was back when the company was Celtec. The environment was a lot cleaner. And I think that the methods were a lot more. I think the company, as all companies do, they sell out, and their practices are not as up to snuff. And that's why I love Purification, because they are laser sharp.
Yeah.
And I also trust Mike Adams, but you know, I had an affiliate with E3 Live. They took that away. I'm like, why did you do that? I'm selling more algae than anybody. And it was just weird. And they do that out of greed, I guess. And that happened with another company. I won't even mention it, but I don't know why they do that. When the dude is like selling it and loves it, and then they stop. It's just weird. But I love supplements, superfoods. Bring it. I'm particularly fond of bee pollen. So I guess that the answer to that last question would be yes. I don't eat a lot of bee pollen, but when I feel like it, because bee pollen is the most enzyme-rich food available to human beings on planet Earth. There are over 5,000 different types of enzymes in bee pollen. And so every once in a while, and it's the semen of the plant world. And so the bees go around and it gets on their feet, and then they go and they swipe it off, and then it becomes, you know, it's just an incredible source of keeping your testicular fortitude as well as your ovarian fortitude as well. It's good for men and women. And there are things in bee pollen that that science doesn't even know about yet. And so that is something that I think, you know, is just because we're fighting against the effeminization of humanity, and you see it in all the different agendas, and that's why I like nuts and seeds. You know, if you go totally fruit, that's great, but you're more up in the upper chakras. And when you bring in some of the nuts and seeds, you're going to bring more of the phosphorus and the zinc as opposed to the calcium and the magnesium. And you're going to bring in, and it's just going to balance out all the chakras. So you want to be on earth, sane, and not having all these food disorders and stuff like that. You're like, when it's time to eat, you eat. When you're in an eating phase, you eat. And when you're in a fasting phase, you fast. And you find a balance between all of that.
Yes, but if people have an eating disorder, then what you're saying doesn't pertain to them, right? Because they're never in that mental state of like, okay, when I'm eating, when I'm fasting, I'm using fasting as a tool to heal, but they're using fasting as a tool to deal with life. And like, they can't, yeah. I mean, I don't have experience having an eating disorder, right? So I can't speak upon it. But my question before about the women versus men thing, Dan, and I'm so glad I have you here, because I really want to know, are there any women that you have that have written literature on how to fast? Because I was really into fasting years ago. I've been raw for 12 years, and I was fasting a lot the first 6 years. And I don't know any women. All my mentors were men. So I'm curious, because you studied so much, you've read so much. Are there any women that have been you know, like that have literature on fasting that have been successful?
You know, there are, but they were way deep in the archives. And those books I read years ago, decades ago, as a matter of fact, because I would go to these, to the public domain and get all these very obscure and strange books from this book company in Florida that had all these crazy old spiritual books and fasting books. And I do remember reading some books by a couple of women, but what was the name of that book company? I can't remember the name of the company that sold the books. But yeah, it's mostly dudes that throughout antiquity have written about that. And we do probably need some more women to put their body through an intelligent. There's a few women that actually, there was a woman who did a 40-day fast on accident. She was only going to do a few days and she just kept going. And that's on the internet. But God, you know, they push it. They push it. They don't want it.
Yeah.
It's all this weight loss stuff. They don't ever allow anyone to like it's all shadow banned.
Yeah. And I hope you guys heard what Dan said. You know, you shouldn't really be fasting for weight loss, right, Dan? You agree, right? Like it's not a weight loss thing, fasting. Or do you think it should?
It is, but see, it's really more of a purification. And then the weight loss is a side effect. The emotional equanimity is a side effect. But that being said, of course, it's fine to fast for weight loss. And you're going to get some of that's what drives you in. But then you're going to see that there are other aspects to it that you weren't aware of in the beginning. And so I will tell you, fasting for weight loss, yes. Fasting for the removal of disease, yes. Fasting for emotional purification, yes. Fasting for mental purification and brain regeneration, yes. Fasting for spiritual karma, yes. And that's why I love fasting, because if you understand and look at it from all the angles, you will see the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual benefits of it, which Stephen Herod Buhner mentions the emotional benefits of it and the mental in his book. I don't even remember what he called that book. I think he changed the title a few years ago too, and did some revisions to it. Stephen Herod Buhner is the author of that. And so he would talk about some of the emotional aspects, but I have firsthand seen the physical benefits, the emotional benefits, the mental benefits, and the spiritual benefits. And then I've seen myself go back to old habits, you know, and then stack up karma again, because it's the subtle layers. If you don't get all the way down to the unconscious, subtle layers of the trauma, then you'll go back to some of those old habits of suppression of those feelings. So what we're trying to do here is to create an opportunity for a complete healing all the way down to the bones, all the way down to the soul level. Now that's like way the hell up there, but what else are you going to do? Be mediocre in your journey towards your own self-potential? I don't think so.
I love it, Dan. Yeah. Yeah. You didn't come here to be average. You didn't come here to just wait it out. Just,
Well,
yeah.
but no, we all have that tendency. If we're honest, we'll be like, oh, I can't wait to die. You'll see it. It'll pop up. You're like, this sucks. When you're going through a really hard time, you'll think, oh, the greatest cop out. It's like, oh, I can't wait to die. It's going to be such a relief. But then there's a phase beyond that, like, okay, I'm here for a little bit.
Yeah, there's a reason.
The best of it. And that'll at least be somewhat fulfilling to make the absolute best of this shit show we call being human, you know. And then we can have compassion, because we're like, wow, you know, because you think you're the most messed up person, because everybody else has got their thing down in their airbrushed, filtered lifestyle. And then you're just like, you can't even hide it. It's like, hi, I'm Dan McDonald. I wear my heart on my sleeve. If I'm having a bad day, you're going to know it, because there's no way. I can't justify hiding it, because the energy is so obvious, you know, but they're not aware of it. I'm so aware of my own energy that if I'm having a bad day, like yesterday, I did an interview. The first hour of it sucked, but it was probably actually really good, because then people can see, okay, this dude, he woke up on the wrong side of the bed. He's in the middle of his process. And I got this interview and I said I would do it. So of course I show up. I don't want to cancel. And I'm like, hey, it's funky. And the guy was like, yeah, your energy's a little funky. But then as I went to go help him, because he was trying to keep his personal stuff quiet, then the rejuvenator guy starts channeling for what he needs, because it was the same thing as what I need, which is the same thing of what we all need, is to get this thing right. It's the pressure cooker release valve of all the stuff in there, in all of us, which is, there's two main ones, and it's fear and love. And then you have all the little subsets of that. But what we're trying to do is get this thing to be able to see and perceive, oh, everyone else is struggling too with being a human being. For this person over here, it's their weight. For this person over here, they're too skinny. For this person over here, it's their teeth. For this person over here, it's their money. They can't get out of poverty. For this person over here, it's one damn thing or another for everyone. And then you can start to, even the millionaire. I know, dude, I know all these millionaires, dude, they're not happy. You know?
Yeah, Dan, that is so true. It literally brings tears to my eyes, because you're right. Like, everyone is struggling with something you don't know about. Like, every single person on this earth, we're all struggling in some way. And so, yeah, I
Otherwise, we wouldn't be
totally
here.
agree.
We
Mm,
wouldn't even be here.
mm,
Be up in the heavenly realms,
mm.
would have came back. Now
So
there's,
you think we came here to struggle and to learn how to overcome that struggle?
because we forgot who we are. And as soon as we remember what we are, who is not the best way, but what are we really? And when we have that realization, your yoke will be much lighter. But as long as we identify with the transitory, we're going to try to protect this thing and, keep it healthy, and, which is, you try to do your best, of course, but we tend to get a little neurotic, and all of us have it. We identify with this thing. But as we evolve, we become more and more aware of a subtler witness, consciousness, presence, being that transcends the duality. And then we try to, ground into the infinite aspect of ourselves and develop that relationship with source energy and identify as that. Because if we identify as this, I identify as that, they're really prison bars. Because what if one day you do eat some butter? You read the package and you're like, oh my God, I ate some butter in one of these cookies or whatever. Then you feel bad about yourself for making an error of judgment. Or I don't know if that's a very good example, but just, if you identify, you just sort of set yourself up to be, constricted, when you really, your soul identifies as the absolute infinite and divine light. And the more you can get the concepts out of your head, but people love it. Their egos love it. They love identifying as something and then making all these other idiots wrong. Because I'm right, you're wrong, you're ruining the planet, I'm making the planet a better place to be, even with all my negativity and judgment towards you. Especially you see that with the diet thing. Your diet's killing the planet, my diet's saving it. Well, all those vegan meats, that's a lot of packaging and it's going to shrink up your testicles. So good luck. I've never eaten the Bill Gates crap, not once in my life. I don't eat any plant-based burgers. I'll make my own out of sunflower seeds, but I don't even do that anymore. My diet is so simple and stupid. I don't even have anything to share on Instagram because it's like, here's some lettuce.
Yeah, they want to know what you eat in a day. I got that a lot. I got a lot of those. What does Dan eat in a day?
I'm a drinker. I mean, my whole diet is like basically like I'm just liquid. I'll drink 2 or 3 or 4 quarts of liquid. Half my diet is coconuts and coconut meat because that's free food and it's the best food.
The best.
Then, I'll have a lemon ginger blast. I'll make a gallon of lemon ginger blast once a week or something, because the apples and everything aren't local or whatever. And it's more of a, on the mainland, it's a little easier. But most of the herbs and stuff that I use, I can get locally, but the apples, not so much. So I'll have a lemon ginger blast once a week. But what I do is I do the Pyridine protocol every day. I do a liquid with the cleanse. That keeps my bowels just absolutely pristine. You know, I am a racehorse when it comes to pooping. I love it. I never get tired of the beauty of the poop. And then I'll take the herbal blood and the enzymes second, and then I'll have another, another juice with the probiotics. And then throughout the day, like let's say I'm at the market, so I'm not like on a strict juice cleanse. If I'm at the market and there's a sapote, a mamey sapote that's dead ripe, like baked yam, brown sugar, honey, and maple syrup, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna touch it. It's soft. It's perfect. Or Chico's little cinnamon buns. You know what I mean? Or, oh my God, the lychees are at the peak of season. A whole bag of fat ass lychees. Then I'll do like some fruit. So then throughout the day, I try to balance the fruits and the herbs because I love my green juice. So I'll have like a lemon ginger blast or a pineapple, cucumber, cilantro, kale, mint, basil, and I'll dilute that with coconut water. I dilute everything with coconut water except the lemon ginger blast. Or I'll make the carrot, apple, beet, cucumber, celery beauty juice. I mean, I literally drink the same 4 or 5 combos, and then I'll have like watermelon juice, or I'll have like, pineapple coconut juice. So I have like a lot of mono juices. I love cucumber juice. And so I'm just a juicy guy. And then a couple times a month, I'll have a smoothie made with coconut almond yogurt. I'll throw some mangoes in there, or I'll take the coconut almond yogurt. Like if I'm in a building phase or whatever, which I haven't been in a building phase for a long time. My dream is to get this thing handled. I can't really explain it, but it's about to pop because I'm just focused on it every day. Like, okay, quit running from this trauma. I'm going to get it. But I haven't been in a building phase because I'm in a breakdown phase, a liquid phase, a lot of fasting, an amazing amount of fasting, to the point where you could say you have a disorder, but it's very conscious, it's very volitional, and I know what I'm doing. And I'm not like, I'm going to fast my way and then God will love me or anything crazy like that. I'm very grounded and balanced. I've read everything. I know what I'm doing. I know what my purpose is. I don't share it that much. You're bringing out a lot from me today, so it's cool, but I want to keep sharing because I'm having a good time, and I think this is great content. I want
It really is.
people thrive. And then
Yes.
you take the coconut almond yogurt and you put some blueberries in there, raspberries. About 75 to 80% of my diet is local. So obviously there's no blueberries here or raspberries. So those are special treats. And I'm drawn to the local foods. When I was in Washington, what do you think I ate every day? Cherries, 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 cherries. Big ass Rainier organic cherries. Just heaven, heaven, heaven. And I'm going to find the local stuff because that's what has the life force in it. Now, if I want to do a special treat or I'm going to make a video, I'll take the banana, which are local, and I will put the banana and the blueberry and the raspberries and blackberries and strawberries and make this galactivated blueberry smoothie with the coconut almond yogurt. Or another thing that's magnificent is the gorilla milk, which I will also make, 2 or 3 or 4 times a month. A couple times a month, maybe once a week, I'll make a batch of gorilla milk, which is also the coconut almond yogurt. So I got the almonds, but the coconuts are free. And I know, so it's like some of these things are cost prohibitive, but I don't care. When I'm on the mainland, I get the Thai coconuts and I make the coconut yogurt anyways. I just do it. I just find a way. I always find a way, no matter where I go, no matter what the situation is, I can find good food. And I will literally drink orange juice for days or weeks at a time, if that's all there is. Which I was doing in Europe. I was living off of orange juice every day because in all the stores, they have these little machines, the ones where you put it under.
Yep.
And I'd go there and I'd get breakfast, orange juice. I'd go there and get lunch. Then what I would do is I'd go to the organic store, buy a big old bag of cucumbers, schlep them across town, walking over there with this huge, then I go in there and I pay the lady like $5 or $10 to juice these at the juice bar, which is way over on the other side of town, to juice all these cucumbers, put them into jars for me, carry them home. And then I got to make this makeshift cooler out of a cheap cooler bag thing. And then I got to keep bringing the bags of ice, but then I put in the cucumber juice and I got the orange juice in my cooler. And then I got to put like a bag of ice every day. And I put it in the shower and the water keeps leaking all over the place. But you just do it, because the motel room that I was staying for a month did not have a refrigerator. It didn't even have a toilet. I had to go down the hallway and use the toilet. So there is always a way. I've traveled everywhere. You're going through the airport. What do you got? You got those bananas. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you got. And that's what you eat.
That's great, Dan.
Bananas. There's a way.
Yes, yes, yes. Where there's a Dan, there's always a way. Now, listen, you just answered the next question, so that's amazing, Dan. You're psychic. That the question was about Europe, so I'm going to ask one more, okay? Because somebody wanted to know how your Europe experience was. But the last question I'm going to choose is Brian. He wants to know, and thank you, Dan, for your time and your knowledge and patience and this whole thing. So now Brian wants to know if you could ask him about organic versus commercial. I have an idea what he's going to say, but I would absolutely love for him to elaborate on the subject currently, what he thinks. And they also say, I hope you're going to plan a part 2, because I know that after your interview, I'm going to have 1,000 questions for Dan after. Thank you so much. Okay. So what is your current stance on organic food versus commercial, especially to someone who wants to go raw or start eating a living food lifestyle? What is your opinion on this right now?
So there is no cookie cutter answer to this. One of the main aspects is that it costs money to become certified organic. So many of the farmers here are not certified organic. They don't want to pay $5 grand a year, then have to charge more money. The blessing of this place is that a friend of mine's son, who used to watch my videos, he's an older man and he's gone now, he left, but he went around this island and said, listen up, y'all got to stop using this crap. This was 30, 40 years ago. And he taught them all everywhere how to grow organic gardening. So everybody here grows organically without being certified organic. So and here you just don't need to spray. The healthier the soil is, the more you don't need to spray. So when you've got these more commercial outfits, that's when they're having troubles with the weeds. That's when they're the monocrop outfits. So when you have local farmers and stuff, you can always ask them, hey, do you spray? And if they're like, I don't spray, and then you're like, okay, sure, buddy. And yes, you do. But when they look at you and say, no way, my family eats this stuff, I do not use any sprays, it's all organic, I just don't have the certification because it's too expensive. And you're like, you're my dude. And you find yourself the dude. I had the dude in Europe. His name was Gunther, and he loved me. He's like, okay, Gunther, what's going on with this? He's like, okay, this. And I was getting the good stuff. And I'd load up the bag, take it back and get these oranges and these figs and strawberries and cherries. Boom, no problem. And I'd follow him around because he would move every day. He would find it was in a different place. So I would find out where he was, and I would take the little scooter, and get to him and fill up my backpack full of fruit and vegetables. So it's an intuitive thing. You have to know the world. Like, would I go to Whole Foods and eat inorganic strawberries? No. Inorganic blueberries? No. Inorganic raspberries? No. Inorganic celery? No. There's certain things you don't want to do. Now, inorganic oranges, what's inside there? No problem. I can dig it. You might be tripping, but there's just you gotta get there. What's inside inorganic avocados? Clean. Inorganic watermelons, it's pure living water. Maybe it's not as high quality, maybe the soil's not as good, maybe the farm is not as conscious, but then again, Sometimes you can get inorganic watermelons, inorganic seeded watermelons on the side of the road in Georgia that are way better than the organic ones. You know, the little
Absolutely.
ones, they're like, okay, those little seedless little things. You're like, because you're really trying to get, at that point, you're like, okay, this isn't really nutrition as much as it is hydration, right? You get a little stimulation, there's got the sugar, but these little Dulcina watermelons that are just kind of pink, they're like, okay, that's not a lot of nutrient density, you know, but like if you eat a sapote or a soursop, then you're getting more nutrient density, coconut from just, it's like picking up on the sand. So, you know, you've just got to do the best you can and become very aware. There is no hard and fast answer. Obviously, anytime, every time you can get certified organic, then you go for that. And I can do that about all the time. And I travel and stuff, and I get it. I'm like, I can look, it's what your solar plexus will become illuminated through the fasting and the living foods process. And your solar plexus will tell you if it's been sprayed or not. You can look at the vegetables and you can just, you know it, you feel it, you sense it, and you don't touch it. Because it's an energy thing that becomes very, very subtle and very, very sensitive. And then you're just trying to, you know, and then it's like, would I juice those cucumbers with the wax on it? No, I don't want to juice and put the wax through my juicer, but a lot of them have them. I want the dirty ones that don't have the wax. You see, I don't even want the organic ones with the organic wax. So I try to go out of my way to meet the farmers in my area, and I don't care how far I have to drive. I'll drive 6 hours one way once a week to go to a farmer market, and I will load up on a week's worth of food. I'll come home, I'll juice half of it, put it in the fridge with lemon, lime all the way to the top, and I'll find a way to make sure that my food is as pure as it can be. The fallout from the sky, there's no escaping that. And the thing is you don't really want to rinse everything, because it's the dirt on the food that's actually the most important medicine that people are missing. And so if you can't get dirty food and you got to rinse it, you got to go get dirty. You got to rub dirt on yourself. You got to get dirt in your hair, dirt on your hands, dirt in your fingernails, dirt on your skin, dirt on your feet, because there's a separation from nature, and the mycelium and the bacteria, they work together to create this communication network. And once you're so sterilized, that's why in the Western world, our microbiology is so diminished, because those elements in the soil that are these communication molecules, carbon molecules in the soil produced by the fungus or the mycelium that create these incredible networks of communication. And the bacteria, they work together. The mycelium is the network. It's like a telecom communication network in the soil is the fungus. And the bacteria are producing the information, the knowledge that's being transmitted. And when we are deficient in these carbon molecules, that's when the gut bacteria can no longer communicate with each other. And then we get diminished. And then we have all these gut dysbiosis problems. We're trying to evolve the gut and create the diversity. That's why of course, if you want to get clear-minded, you do a 21-day watermelon cleanse, or hell, there's people doing it for 100 days, and you can do that. Because we are way more than what we think we are. As soon as it becomes a disorder, but that's going to be up to you. That's the psychology of the person who may need some deeper help. But if this gentleman on the internet is eating watermelons for 100 days, he's up there, he's cool, he's obviously not tripping. You can see it in his eyes, he's doing fine, he's doing great, he's getting a little thin. But that other young lady, you could see it. I saw it on the first picture that I saw. Okay, one of those. Now that's some deep stuff. We need to support each other with that. because everyone's gonna come over and see, you need to eat meat. It's like, cool, I can dig it, eat your meat, God bless you. But we're on this, they're not thinking of how do I become an illuminated soul on earth? How do I really rise up to my highest potential without losing the common sense? So you're trying to be grounded in the earth and ascended to the heavens at the same time. You're embodying paradise and heaven on earth through a strong, healthy, well-maintained physical organism that is in respect and honor of the laws of nature, which is not too much and not too little. And so you don't really want to be supporting people that obviously have psychological issues that come from those traumatic experiences in childhood generally. So with the food, you do the best you can. With the organic stuff, I mean, yes, lean towards organic, but get an education. Talk to farmers. Don't be afraid to say, hey, do you spray? And when they say, no way, I would never spray, my family eats this stuff, then that's your due. That's, you beeline it to that one. You stand there, you're first in line, you're 20 minutes early to the farmer's market with your big thing, and you buy it all. And then you come home and juice it because that's your person. You find those sources of nutrient-dense foods that you know are clean and consciously grown. I have this one little Asian lady, her husband's the farmer. She's such a sweet little lady. I just go there and I'm there an hour early. And I buy half her stuff before anyone else even knows that the market is open. And then I get all the good stuff because I know they don't spray, and it's amazing. And so I know I have a very particularly beneficial circumstances here in where I'm at, but I can find it anywhere. I've found good co-ops in Montana. I've found good co-ops in Idaho. And if that's what it is, and you're just eating the kimchi or the cabbage, then that's what you do, but like what I'm looking for and what I want to tell people do as much as they can is to like, there's these papaya trees out here, right? So I'm going to want to get the right papaya off the tree. I had a truckload of coconuts, but I went yesterday and got the freshie. Now, why do I want the freshie? Because I want the electricity. That's the main ingredient in your food. The life force current, electrical energy grounded by the roots. The leaves are picking up the solar, and there's a circuit. And when that food is still on the vine, it's in the life circuit, and that's where we're all going wrong. That's why humanity has lost their minds. And when you start eating and you're in the living current, everything changes. You become a weirdo and you start getting all these crazy ideas about fasting and live foods and barefoot and healing and energy bodies and stuff like that, because your whole trip wakes up because you're in the current. Then, of course, the hard part is dealing with all the crap from childhood, society, all the burgers, all the drugs, and the debt that you owe your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual debt that you owe in your body. You owe it to nature, and you master the nature. Then you can move up and go to your father in the field and become a master of the consciousness. Then, so you want to honor the mother and honor the father, and you want to bring heaven on earth. You don't want to be one of these spiritual people that is 50 pounds overweight, because anyone can tap into spirituality. We already are that. We've always been that. You'll never be anything other than that. You are the light. You are the source. That is your true being. And now you want to embody it. So let's have it all. Let's have physical health. Let's have emotional equanimity, which I am very strongly working on right now. Like this, whatever happened here, it's like, it's a major process that's happening right now. It's just like, I went from a concrete to like lava rock to where now I built the light in my heart. And now there's just a thin, like concrete, one of those little stepping stones that you put in your garden. And that's sitting there trying to block the intake of love and the outgo. And that's going to get shattered through conscious and volitional intention of just sitting here with this crap, stop distracting myself, which is the hardest thing to do, is to stop distracting ourselves and be there with what is trying to really, truly happen. And this process is ongoing, and it will continue until you reach the complete state, the illumination phase, or the complete healing, or the total regeneration, whatever you want to call it. And then the journey will just continue onward, upwards, and there's this level of enlightenment, and there's then you enter the void, and then you hit the allness, and then you go to avatar, and then when you get to avatar, then you're all the way up to like, okay, now I'm going to start working on archangel status. It's a never-ending evolution of consciousness through the human organism. So don't be like me and like, oh, one day I'll be there and it'll all be done, because it's just going to keep on going. So just get used to the fact that as long as you're here, especially, and after you leave, probably, I don't know, I heard of people leave and they just go there, and then there's Jesus and the light, and everybody's just chilling. And you're like, I don't want to go back. And they're like, go, you got to go back. You got something you got to do. You're like, damn, why you got to send me back? You know? So I've talked to several people like that. Why do I got to go back?
Oh.
I had out of body, but I never had any near death experiences. But anyways, that's good.
That's amazing, Dan. No, that's really valuable. So solid, such solid advice just on all fronts, because yeah, do the best you can, but like Dan is doing the best he can, and he's living it, and he's showing you, you know, you find your people, you find the people that are eating the food that they're selling, you know, and that's important, because these big conglomerates, they're not eating the food they sell, you know, they don't eat that. So
No
like,
way. Well, Bill Gates, some of them are just dumb. They do have some very good medical technologies where they like purify their blood and run it through a machine and all that stuff, which we don't get access to. But they still eat Hot Pockets and stuff. It's like, it's just that they don't love themselves, so they don't have anything else to do. They have billions of dollars and they're mad at you because you're happy with your little life. You own nothing and you're actually happy. Like, you will get to
yeah.
the point, you know, like I got there on my own. I'm like, Klaus Schwab, just shut up. Like, I own nothing, honestly. Like, I'm borrowing it from God and I am happy, but you got to let everybody else come to that conclusion on their own. You know, they're not going to win. We're too powerful. And the light is absolutely exploding, especially starting yesterday. A whole new era of life has started on planet Earth. And it's a very powerful time to be alive. Now is the time to purify your body, your heart, your mind, and align with the Most High, because it's the wheat is being separated from the chaff in a big way. Either you're going with the psyop propaganda, or you're waking up into the heavenly realms of divine consciousness. And so you get to choose, but you don't get to stay. You can't just sit in the middle and be like, well, I'm going to straddle the fence. You'll be ripped in half. So you have to choose truth, or you have to allow falsehood to destroy you and your potential. I'm choosing truth. I always have. It is not easy, but it gets easier and easier because you're like, okay, because it becomes the joy of your life for the pleasantness of the truth and the unpleasantness of the truth. It becomes an honor to work through your own bullcrap. And you're grateful to God because you don't get to get up here and be like, hey, I have my airbrushed life and look how perfect I am and I'm a healer and all this crap. You know, I mean, you know, it's just like, be a great example and do the hard work. It's not easy, but it's an energy thing. It's not even about your words. It's not about the recipes you put up. It's about what you are, and what you allow yourself to become is your greatest gift to the world. Whether you ever say anything to anyone ever, it's an energetic emanation. And the greatest teachings are done in silence. God gave me the gift of gab and this whole channeling thing. So it's like, I'm like, can I go quiet? And it's like, no, you know, I'm like, you have to keep talking. And I'm like, okay, fine, you know, because it wants me to do that. Because I love silence. I love stillness. I'm going to go to the beach right now and make a video. I'm not going to say a damn word. I'm just going to sit there and be, because that's what people need. That's the medicine that they need. When they do these retreats, it's like, what are we going to do? We're not going to do anything. Why? Because that's what you need. You need to put the phone down, quit calling on the phone, quit scrolling through social media. You need to just simplify and rest and take a nap on the beach and let your parasympathetic nervous system just get healed. Boom.
Yes. And get
Relax.
charged. Like leave your phone at home, charge your phone, and you charge yourself at the
Yeah.
beach. Yes. I'm
Out
going to
in
go to the
nature,
beach too.
out in nature.
Yes.
Where do you live?
I'm Miami.
Oh man, great. I mean, if I was going to be somewhere else, that's where it would be.
Dan, I moved here for the coconuts. Like it was going to be Hawaii or Florida, because same. It's so valuable to be from New York and get to drink fresh coconut water. Where are you from, Dan?
I'm from Seattle originally,
Seattle.
and then I moved all the way up and down the West Coast. I lived in New York for a while, Park Slope, Brooklyn. Spent a little time in
So
Florida, little time
yeah.
in Georgia. But I've traveled all through the US and I've done some world travels too. South America, Mexico, now Europe, which I never would have thought, but that's a whole nother story that's ongoing at this point. But anywhere you go, there you are. And you're going to carry it with you. So you might as well just do the work all day, every day and purify yourself. That's the main thing about all this is just, it's not just about the diet. That is definitely one pathway that segues into all these other areas of purification that leads to illumination so that you can be the light in your family, in your community. And the joy is just being that. It's the joy of walking into a room and the energy in the room went up, not as an ego thing, but as a thing to where you are just a conduit for God. And it's in the room, it's in the family. And some of them will resist it, but eventually my whole family came around. At first they're like, you're nuts, and now they're all have their gallbladders and stuff and they're all juicing and they know. I mean, they come and go with it, but I've stayed on it. It's been the greatest thing of my life. This live food's 23 years, and I'm blessed. And I'm barely getting started because I'm barely beginning to understand and get the discipline that I need to be like, look, you've done that 150 times. You know what it's like when you overeat on unsoaked nuts or whatever. Not that that's like a huge thing, but you kind of miss half a day or something. And you want to find a way to just be dialed in from the time you wake up to meditate in the morning, meditate all day, no matter what it is you're doing, and produce excellence and consciousness and awareness, and do what you're doing with as much consciousness and intention. And then you go to sleep at night, and sleep even becomes part of the meditation. So it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year of intentional living to reach the bliss divine, which I stopped in the middle. This is another one if you want to get spiritual stuff. And then this one, sadhana, by Sivananda. This will teach you. Sadhana means spiritual practice. And we all need some kind of spiritual practice. Everyone has different tendencies. I like to use as many of them as I can, but if you master one, you will master the universe. If you master one principle, you can reach perfection. So choose your virtue, choose your one Bible verse and master that. Love your neighbor as yourself. That will take more people to enlightenment than reading the book back and forth, going door to door, trying to convince everyone. Just go and you do that. Like, that's what I'm trying to do. Like this whole thing with getting on social media and stuff, I still don't understand it. It just happens. But, I'm just trying to get this one. That is my main concern. I don't need to have any ego about it. I don't feel all that special. I've made more mistakes than anybody in every area of life. I never killed anyone and I never raped anyone and I never punched a woman. Okay. But those are about the only thing I could say. Have you robbed a bank? Well, yeah, have you robbed other people, stole stuff, broken it? cheated on it, lied on it. I mean, so I'm no saint. Maybe I'm in my next life, I'll have more propitious circumstances. But anyways, I'm really grateful to be here. And I'm glad
Yes.
you hold amazing space. And today was just a blessing.
Yes, Dan, thank you so much. Just really, I just want to take a minute to acknowledge you. Just thanks for being you. Thanks for being authentic, doing the hard work, and then sharing it with the world. It's not easy to do the work and then to share it. And just thank you for being you. You're very authentic, and I appreciate that. And you're aware as well, self-aware. So you're saying you're never going to be right, but like you're aware, which is pretty rare. So that's pretty rare.
Yes.
Those two things are pretty rare.
I mean, some people say you're too hard on yourself, and I'm like, okay,
Yes,
that's
you are.
true, but it does keep driving it onward. So that aspect of the personality, it's a blessing and a curse.
Yes.
I get to the bar, and then the bar goes higher, because
Yes.
that's the potential that we have in all these areas of our lives. The physical thing is great, exercise, getting to bed on time, and I can't wait to get back in the gym and get back on the yoga, but I'm not in a building phase. I'm in a phase of awareness. It's like a popping. I got to get this thing to clear. And so I see all it does is spend all day distracting itself from actually the terror of what needs to come up. And so that's why I'm like not trying to be on the social media, trying to tell everybody what's what, because I'm like, I got to get this dude right. And then I'll come out
Yes.
and, all hail me, like I don't want anything
Yes.
to do with that. Like, I'm very grateful that I make an income, that I can eat and have the things that I need to continue on with this journey that is worth more than all the money in the world to me. You couldn't pay me enough money for me to stop doing what I'm doing, because at the end of this thing is an illumination, and it is the treasure beyond all treasures. And every one of us has it in there already. It's a matter of truly embodying the realization of it experientially. We all know the spiritual sayings, we all have the spiritual slogans, but unless it's embodied, it won't emanate and it won't be real. And you can be a guru, because everyone's like, I'm going to be a guru, and they start a social media channel and they start an ashram, but are they, there's man-made gurus, and then there's God-ordained gurus. And I want the ones where they were just like, bam, it hit them one day, and they're like, and then it took them 20 years to figure out what the hell happened. They didn't try to work their way up and start an ashram, so their career choice was being a spiritual guru. I want the God-ordained gurus, And so I'm just a student. I'm just a sadhaka. I'm like, maybe, just maybe a cool little example of what, just a little cheerleader, And I have a lot of great experience with like the juicing and the raw foods and
You
learning
combine them both. You combine them both,
all
the
of it.
physical and the spiritual, and I love it. And so everyone, please do me a favor. Check out the links down below. You got to subscribe to Dan's YouTube, of course. I'll leave the link to his new YouTube and his Instagram and Facebook and everything. Connect with him on his website. I'll leave all links below and in the comments. And if you liked this video, then do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, and please send it to somebody who might need it, whether they watch it or not. Send it, share it with somebody who might need a breakthrough, who might need to start doing something differently in their life. I guarantee you this will inspire them. So thank you very much, Dan McDonald. And you are truly a life regenerator, and I appreciate you.
I had a lot of fun today, and I really appreciate that, Jeanette.
Me too. I got a lot of information. I wrote a lot of notes, and I'm going to check out a lot of books that I've never heard of. So thank you.
Yeah. And then maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Absolutely. It would be my honor. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of questions, and I thank you so much, Dan, and we'll talk soon. Bye, you guys.
Last peace. Thank you.
Bye, Dan. Enjoy the beach.
Of course.
Bye.